Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Fayette County School Corporation Board of School Trustees monthly meeting. We are here at the administration building. It's Tuesday, January 10th, 2023. I call the meeting to order, and let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a little different format to start tonight, so we actually have three meetings. The first meeting is basically a reorganization meeting or a meeting to elect the officers for the school board. So we've opened that meeting, and I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the agenda as submitted and amended.
I so move.
Thank you, Andrew. I hear a second. Thank you, Chris. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, at this time, we have a couple of options. One is that somebody can nominate an entire slate of officers, or we can nominate per position. And if there are nominations, multiple nominations, then we would vote on that particular position and then go on to the next one. So I don't know if somebody is ready to nominate either individual positions or nominate a slate.
I would like to nominate a slate.
Okay.
Leslie Jacobs for president, Lori Savoy for vice president, Ann Kirshner for secretary, and Jeremy Williams for assistant secretary.
Okay, hearing that, is there any other nominations on the floor? Okay, seeing only one nomination for a slate. Now I ask for a motion to approve that nomination. I'll seek a motion to close the nominations.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mark. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Chris. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising hand. Motion carries. We have a selection of officers. So with that, we now change,
We need to vote.
now we vote. This is, you would think I've never done this before, but it's been a long time. It's once a year. So now that nomination has been approved, now I would ask for a vote. All those in favor of the nomination? No.
Motion and second to approve.
Okay, this is always fun. Thank you, public, for your patience. I'd like to seek a motion to approve the slate, right?
Yes.
No, I thought we already did that.
We closed the nominations.
Oh, okay.
I might have worded it wrong, but that should have been a motion to close the nominations. So now we're seeking a motion to approve the nomination.
Oh, I so move.
Thank you, Ann. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Lori. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We now have a slate of officers. And at this time, then I would ask Chris and Jeremy just to switch seats. Let's take your name plates with you. Or is that how we're doing
We
it?
need to motion to adjourn this meeting.
Oh, and before you move, I'd like to seek a motion to adjourn the meeting. What would I
That's
do?
your job. That's your job.
Motion, I make that motion.
Okay, second. Okay, any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now you may move.
Seating chart.
Woo! Woo! This is why I wanted to have. Thank you, Cindy.
I need to switch? You say so, you're the boss.
Wait, why is that?
Because it goes in the order in which they were elected.
Oh,
I think was elected in 13 and you were in 17.
Wow, Cindy, thank you.
17.
Okay.
So Chris comes before
You
you.
look a little senior to me.
And Jeremy and Persaro hate somebody.
Yeah,
because he
switch
wants
your
to-
It's not always this confusing, right?
Wow.
You want this back?
Yes.
Okay, now we have 5 minutes to wait before we do the finance committee. So, talk amongst yourselves.
meeting of the Fayette County School Board's Finance Committee please come to order. And first order of business is nomination for officers, president, and secretary. Open nominations.
I would nominate Jeremy as president. I'd like to do a slate. Can we do a slate?
Yep.
Nominate Jeremy as president and Chris to be secretary of the finance committee. Is that correct? Does anybody else have?
Are there any other nominations?
I move nominations be closed.
Motion, second?
Second?
Jeremy seconded.
I'll second it.
We vote?
All in favor?
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Being none? And I'll turn.
Nope,
Nope.
hold on, now you've closed the
Nominations are
slate.
closed.
Now you've got to
I
vote
gotta
on
vote.
the slate of
Yeah.
officers.
Okay.
You need a
So
motion.
glad
and-
you did.
Need a motion to approve the slate of officers for the finance committee?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Now we vote?
Now we vote. All in favor of those nominated? Opposed? Finance committee's transferring power to
He's gonna present some information now.
Oh,
Jeremy?
Oh,
I'll say Jeremy's now the
Yeah, you
president,
are the
so.
president,
And
yes.
then I've got,
Man, he's moving on up.
No, you
Put it to work.
He knows what's coming next.
okay, now I will take us through almost the end of the finance meeting. Eventually, we have to adjourn it, but the first item there, you have in front of you an investment review, and you'll see this kind of come around in my other presentation, but as a separate one, just a single page, nope, don't go to the pretty yet. I'll call it just the black and white sheet in your board packet, a single page.
Yep.
It's in the whole the main packet in your folder or whatever,
It's on your computer.
Or on your
or on your computer.
Yeah.
Either one. So, reviewing the interest, last year was not a good year with interest rates because of things that were a little higher even the year before. They rolled through. So in our education fund, we brought in a little over $6,000 in interest. And in our operations fund, we brought in a little over $66,000 in interest. But reviewing everything, moving down to the current holdings, the rate of returns and some things, you can see that in our operating account, we have a balance of almost $18 million. Payroll's just a clearing account. You'll see this one, it's $1 all the time. The money automatically goes in and out of that account. And then there's a check clearing account for credit cards, and we have a balance of just a little over $10,000. But when it really gets down to the interest rate, and I want to point out a couple of things. Last year, if you looked at most of our interest rates were between 0.4% and 0.5%. One thing to note, you notice the money market, I'll come back to it in a second, the money market account on December the 31st had a balance of about $2 million. Keep that figure in your head for a little bit. But then we have one in U.S. Treasury bills at 1.1% that will be coming due in February. I would anticipate that will go up when we renew that one. Another one, U.S. Treasury bills in June of 3%. And then there's another one was U.S. investments. It's about $2 million, and that was at 0.25%. Not good at all. But notice that in December, we turned one of them over for $1.4 million, and the interest rate on it was 3.74%. Now I'm going to go back up to the money market one because it's really it's a function of the timing that the money market of $2 million came due in the middle of December. We work with Baker Tilly, who did the bonding and all of that information for us. They work with us to try to get us the best bids, quotes, and all of that. And they contacted me, it was like December the 20th, or right before Christmas, and said, right now, it's not good. People are already on vacation. We're not getting a whole lot of even interest in those kind of things. We would recommend that you wait until after the first of the year. So thus, on December the 31st, we had a large amount in a money market fund. We have already invested that last week. They sent it out, and now that $2 million is currently invested in a 9-month CD at just under 5%. It's like 4.96 or somewhere. I may not have that figure exactly right, but it's just under 5%. So I think it made a whole lot of sense. I mean, I think they gave us good advice to wait. We had either 5 or 6 companies that quoted the bond rate, and so that is now invested, and that will get us some pretty good returns during the course of the next 9 months as the rest of them. So I even expect that in February, the 1.01 should move up to a higher percentage, and everything else, by the time we get to June, who knows again, but we should see better things on the interest.
Well, that's good news.
So there's the interest review. The next one, you actually have an investment policy. You have a copy of that. This is board policy 7.04, and really this is what guides us. And as you read through it, I'm not going to read everything, but it more or less just says our investment policy is to put our investments in very safe funds. The number one priority is the safety and security of those funds. We're not going to take these and throw them out on hey, I heard there's a great stock that's supposed to really go up next week. We cannot put it in those kind of things. So that's where it's usually in safe U.S. Treasuries, CDs of the short term, and those kind of things. So we do follow the board policy as it pertains to investments of funds in the school district. Then the next one. Now we go to the, I'll call it the pretty page. So the overall review of the conditions in the Fayette County schools. First one, and all of this information really comes from what's called the DUOB board, the Division of Distressed Schools. And this information, realize that all of the information, I mean, the most current data that they have really goes back a year. So everything that happened here on December the 22nd is not put in there. So this is all a year ago. Average daily membership, anybody that watches the majority of rural schools or rural areas outside of the metropolitan areas of Indiana are going to show this, just showing that our enrollment has went down every single year for the last, seems like 100 years. It hasn't been 100, but more like 20 years. It is just, I mean, the good side of it is it's been a pretty gradual decline. The school district, I think, even long before me, has managed it well as far as decreasing staff as revenues and those things have decreased. But that's the first slide. The next slide shows fund balances, and there's a whole lot of stuff in here, and I'm not going to go into all of them, but you notice there's a high line there that was a green, and now it's more of an orangish color. That's because if you go back to 2018 and earlier, we used to have what was known as the general fund, and in 2019, that became the educational fund. So really the green and the orange are showing the same account. It's just in the terminology and the way the state changed things. The other one I would point out is the yellow one are federal funds, and that now included, part of it in 2021, this will even go higher, but that's not just our, I'll say normal. Most school districts for a long time have had Title I funds, Title II funds, special education funds, and those things. But it started going up there also with stimulus money, ESSER, and that line is going to continue to climb as we go out the next few years. And I'll just kind of leave it at that. The rest of them, the operations fund, the debt service fund, they've all been relatively stable. If there's any questions on that, I'd be happy to answer those. But again, that all goes back to 2021, nothing from even 2022 on it. The next slide shows...
Wait, can you explain you've already moved ahead there, but...
I can go back to it.
That's fine. The downward yellow line, is that a yellow? Is it
at the very bottom of the page?
Funds? Yeah.
The yellow line is actually showing, it shows operational funds is what it's called, but that is really showing the, we've brought in, and some of that is showing like tax caps and that kind of stuff that has decreased some of
Okay.
what we could bring into operations.
Okay.
Annual deficit and surplus, this one I will tell you, I don't know why they did it exactly that way, but it kind of, I had to study this one a little bit. If you look at the green, that is our revenues, and then the blue is our expenditures. The little caps at the top, the orange and the reds, those are our cash balances in those funds. So it's showing how much we brought in, but it's also showing that we have cash balance in those accounts.
So does that mean in 2017, we had very little cash balance, like our revenue and expenditures, we didn't carry a lot?
We didn't have as much then. 2017, I think, was about the time, actually, I think, I'm not sure this chart is exactly right. I get it off their website. But 2017, I think, was about the time that the solar field, 2017-18, the solar field, the field house and some of that stuff was starting to happen. But
Okay,
anyway,
that makes sense, okay.
I don't know why it's that low, because the expenses, they really weren't, we had a pretty healthy cash balance then too. The next slide. This is all out of, when you add all of our funds together, the operations, the educational fund, all of the other funds that are on the fund report, it shows what percentage of our budget, our revenues are in a cash balance. Right now, we're at 67%. I'll talk a little more as we go on. When I get to the fund report, I'll talk more about it, but I would anticipate that that is going to go down in the future. And the reason why is it is intentional, that we don't want that to keep climbing. We want to get close, we're not going to get anywhere near to close to zero, but we've got some needs that we have. Some of that money is going to be available. A lot of that's in the operations fund, which will go into the buildings and the infrastructure and part of that. Revenue types, really it's just another chart showing, you can see the big blue one are the state revenues. For the most part, that is the education funds. The purple part of that are local revenues, and that is like excise tax, local property, or not even local property, because the debt revenue is a lot in the property, in the local property tax. But there's some other kind of oddball taxes that we pay, personal property, and those kind of things go into the purple. Notice at the top, between 2019 or 2020 and 2021, at the very tip top is the federal stimulus revenues, and that's where those are now creeping in, and that will get bigger as time goes along, or at least as the next 2 to 3 years go along. Not forever, but at least the 2 to 3 years goes along. Then you've got interest. We've already covered that in the separate interest report. And going on here again, interest accounts, we covered that one. And then this is the fund balances of 2020. I didn't change that. I should have had 2021 and 2022. I thought I got that when my dates changed, but that is the cash balance of the education fund in 2021 and the current cash balance. And whenever I get to the fund report at the end of the evening, you'll see those are the current balances of our main funds. And when I say the main funds, we're looking at the education, the debt service, operations, the rainy day fund, and then the WCC's, the Career Center. We've got a whole lot of other funds, but a lot of those are federal dollars, where those are the ones you see in the fund report every month that are in negatives, because first we have to spend it and then we file claims, so we're always behind on those as they file the claims. So those are the ones that show the negative balances as we go throughout the year. Comments or questions or other thoughts?
Randy, from your knowledge, you know a great deal of it, how are we by comparison to other school corporations similarly circumstanced as far as population is concerned? What's your thought on that?
We are very, very, very strong.
We're in good shape.
We're in good shape. We have some funds available, especially in regarding to buildings and those kind of things for the operations, to not solve all of our problems, but we've got some problems we're in good shape to start addressing. And I think, not giving anything away, we know we've got other meetings here in the next month and things in regards to buildings, and I think the budget is in good shape to start that, and then we'll see what decisions the board makes as we proceed to start addressing those kind of needs.
We still have declining enrollment.
We still have declining enrollment.
And we-
If there's anything I could tell you, if you've watched anything of the news yesterday and today, I'm looking at Mark and Ann and the Scott and Kim around here. I still am old enough to remember 12, 14 years ago when we looked at the legislature and said, gosh, I wish they took an interest in education. And for the last 10, 12 years, they've taken an interest in education, but not always public education. And our legislature has started. It is a budget year, so I would encourage all of you to keep your ears listening to what's happening in Indianapolis, and don't hesitate to contact our legislators and let them know what your individual opinions are, not just board opinions. But the governor's already came out and talked about how much he is wanting for education, realizing that what he's asked for education is not necessarily for public education. It is also for charters and those other things. And looking at something I think they gave, at least, and I'm just taking it from the papers that I look at, 2 years ago they allocated $1.9 million, I believe, to education. And the governor's talking about how great things are, and his proposal at least $1.2 million. So it's less than what they did before, but it would still be an increase to us, even with the declining enrollment, but it will not be the same as what it was in the previous biennium, of which we're currently part of.
But all of you will be getting your emails from Terry Spradlin, or you should be, with legislative updates, and he will highlight. Terry's the director of the Indiana School Board Association. He will highlight bills that are coming forward, and I try to do that when I can, when we have a meeting, to make sure you all are aware, or send you an email, let you know there's some really crucial issues.
Plus, the governor's about to give his State of the State address here in a couple minutes,
Okay.
so tomorrow's news should be full of stuff that will interest us, of course.
Yeah.
I think the big parts are, he's looking at a bigger increase in funding for tuition support, which is huge. And then also the textbook fees, which I think he's going to try to push that through with eliminating those, because we take a hit on our debt service every year with making up the lost funds. So that would be a big help
That would be,
to all
yes.
all schools in Indiana if they would do that.
That should pass. I mean,
I think it would.
we're one of 7 states that still have that.
Right. You would hope it.
Plus, he's calling for an average of a $70,000 beginning teacher salary. So we'll see how that goes. But
Yeah, that'll have to come with a little more funding.
Yeah,
then.
yeah, sure.
To make that happen.
Yes,
Just
and
a little.
trying to encourage people to go into education and trying to put together some things, but the legislature does not get it sometimes, that being a teacher is an art form as well as a science, and you can't just stick somebody in a classroom and expect them to be able to teach. And all the money in the world, they should have thought of that 10 years ago when they denigrated the teaching profession, and a lot of people left. So they're paying dearly for that, as are our kids. There's just not the people in the School of Education that there were. And whose fault is that?
There's still a push to push those funds into charters and other areas too, and that's one of the things we need to watch for, is how much money is being pushed to schools that aren't being held accountable like we are. I mean, that's my whole issue with it, is holding to the same accountability.
Yeah.
So-
If a charter school, if we had the graduation rate that some of the charter schools have, we would be under state control so quickly it wouldn't it would make our head spin. Some of them have less than 1% of the kids actually graduate or finish. We're upheld at what, 90-something? Or we get dinged. And the accountability piece, it's not that kids don't learn that way, but they have to have a good program, they have to have a credible program, and these storefront ones simply are not. And they've gotten an awful lot of money.
Jeremy, now we need a motion and second and vote to adjourn the finance meeting.
Okay, I'm seeking a motion to adjourn the Board of Finance meeting.
Make that motion. Second.
Mark, second it.
All those in favor?
All those in favor, proceed by saying aye. All right. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you. Pass that on over. I will now call the meeting of the Fayette County School Board of School Trustees to order. We will begin with any public comments on agenda items. Seeing none, we will move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda includes the approval of the minutes from the regular business meeting of 12/13/22, the personnel report including retirements, resignations, leaves of absences, etc., the approval of the December 2022 claims 63817 to 64037, the appointment of the corporation treasurer and deputy treasurer, the financial expenditure goals, the conflict of interest statements, and donations. A donation of $1,000 from PMMI Youth Skills Fund grant to WCC to be used to purchase materials for the welding technology program. A donation of used power tools, hand tools, scaffolding, ladders, and toolbox valued at $2,089.87 from Nicholas Moore to WCCC Construction Technology Program. A donation of $1,111.73 from the Louise Joyner Trust to CHS Life Skills class to purchase materials. And a donation of $9,849.59 from the Fayette Community Foundation to support the installation of handrails in the Spartan Bowl. I know that makes everybody happy. So with that, I'd like to seek a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll give that motion.
Thank you, Jeremy. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ryan. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. With that, we'd like to take a moment. We have representatives from the foundation here we're very excited about.
And a very big check.
And a very big
cardboard check.
And I want to share, just Daryl and I stopped by there, when was that, Daryl? Not last week before. And had a great conversation, and, and I just appreciate this, because we didn't know if they would have any fun, but you all.
We didn't either.
So, this is really cool, so Leslie, go ahead. Of course, President Winter Present, you would like to share some things, but this was our first start to helping fund the handrail installation, and Daryl's going to share a little more at the end.
And I know two of you, so Alexander Flug
Yes.
and Devin Hornsby. And
I'm Morgan Hamilton.
hi, Morgan. Nice to meet you.
So Morgan's our Director of Community Impact. She runs our grant making programs. Devin's the president of our board, and I'm the director of the foundation. So we're really happy to be able to present this check. I didn't write anything special, but just basically, the Spartan Bowl is a special place for a lot of us. Many of us have received our diplomas there, and so we have a focus on enhancing the quality of life in Fayette County. And what better way to do that than to help provide equitable and safe access to more people to allow them to join us in that special space. So we're just happy to provide this, and we brought the big check because it feels fancier. The real check has already been received. But would you like to take a photo? Anybody like to be part of it? Oh, great.
Anyone else like to join?
You can go right ahead.
Daryl, would you like to join?
Daryl. Hey. You gonna do it too? Okay, ready? Okay.
Come down this way.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Very much appreciated, guys.
Yeah, thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's a wonderful beginning.
Yes.
Super excited about this, yeah. Okay, next we're going to move on to the personnel report. Mr. Harris.
On the personnel report this evening, recommendation for employment of certified staff, Hartley Leach, as kindergarten teacher at Eastview. And I just want to note, she's actually been there first semester, but she was completing all of her degree requirements, so now she actually has her full teacher license and becomes part of the certified staff. Classified staff, recommend Dan Becker as an SRO, Joe Becker as an SRO, Destiny Mitchell as a Head Start floating assistant, Brianne Munchell as a Head Start floating assistant, Reagan Seal as an instructional assistant at Fayette Central, and Kendall Waddell as special education assistant at Grandview. With extracurricular, recommending Lindsay Friend as color guard coach at the high school, and this is actually a position that we added in the contract this year, so this is the first one that's been on the paid staff, I guess you would say, based on the contract negotiations this year.
That's great, thank you very much. Okay, I'd like to seek a motion to approve the personnel report.
I so moved.
Thank you, Ann. A second? Thank you, Jeremy. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, on to the adult meal prices for 2022-23, Mr. Harris.
This is one we found out, we approved meal prices back in, I think, June. And we found out that because of some of the changes to the USDA guidelines, we had to increase adult meal prices further than what we did. And in fact, we're going to have to go back and make this correct. But we've also found out that since the beginning of the school year, realize this is full meal prices, so let's go in, I just want a school lunch. This does not include, if an adult goes in and says, I want the taco bar, or I want a piece of pizza, or I want, an a la carte item, it doesn't include. So I think we've had 2 adult breakfasts that have been served this year, and it's like 6 adult lunches that have been served up until this point. So there's not a whole lot of these, but we're still meeting the regulations. So these result in increases of 20% or 20 cents for breakfast and 25 cents at lunch. I'm recommending that we increase the adult lunch price to $4.85 and the adult breakfast price to $2.70.
Okay, thank you for that. I'd like to seek a motion to approve those adult meal prices.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Chris. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jeremy. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, public comments. Persons wishing to make the board aware of suggestions, ideas, or comments may address the board at this time. Comments which involve personnel or students must be discussed in private. Seeing none, we move on to the report items. Superintendent discussion group reports. Principal director reports. Anybody have anything?
Just going to give you a quick update on the Spartan Bowl, which we appreciate that donation tonight, and we should hear about a couple more tomorrow, is what I'm hoping. But we did go local to McCombs and get pricing on that, and it came in about $20,000 less than what it was in Indy. So
That's
we're
great.
right around $30,000. And we've been contacted, Scott and I went to the Lions Club meeting, Kiwanis meeting. I think they're both going to be voting in to help us there also. So
Daryl, how many aisles does that?
6.
6. Okay.
6 aisles. We'll do the 4 corners and the 2 center aisles.
Okay, thank you.
72 of them.
Still be room for athletes to run up and down those stairs, so.
It's important if you're a coach.
Yeah.
The stair laps are
You did some of those for me.
Once they get the ready on them and we give them the okay, they'll get the 72 pieces ready to install in 6 weeks. The installation will take approximately 8 days scheduled, so they'll go in one day, set them, and the next day they'll hope they're dry. So we're going to work very close with them on codes to make sure everything's good. So it's great. We're staying local and still going to save about $20,000. So thank you.
And they should be installed by graduation. Hopefully in the air conditioning as well. So, but I want to thank Daryl, because Daryl has been instrumental in getting out there and talking. I come along
For lunch.
if I can. Yeah, Pizza place, we have the menu down, but Daryl has taken the initiative here. He's been working with Chase and folks, so I'm excited this is going to happen, and it's just a matter of getting it coordinated with getting these to make, because they're constructing these.
They are. I mean, he had a really great comment today. He said, you know, we priced this and when we double and check it, make sure we're good, because he said, we're dealing with history there. And
Yeah,
I thought that was very good
Yes.
for him, for somebody who's doing some work for us. So,
yeah, he appreciates that, the importance and significance. Yeah, that's wonderful. Any other reports from anybody? Okay, seeing none, move on to Director of Operations report.
You've got on the green piece of paper there your fund summary in front of you. Again, if you've got any questions, I'll be happy to answer those. But some things, and these are things that will get lost as we go about the year, I know that. But education fund is in a strong position. Debt service is always going to stay about that amount. It doesn't vary a whole lot. Operations fund is strong. But my anticipation also is that those fund balances are going to intentionally decrease as we go about the year. So, you know, sometimes we see things go down, it's all like, oh no, is the world going to end? Well, we need to spend those on some things. The other one, and I think this showed up last month, it doesn't show up in the annual, but the construction bond in 2022, you see that amount of $983,000. That's how much we have in that account. Next month, give you a little preview of it. At the February board meeting, I'm going to have a request in front of you to request permission to advertise for the water softening and some plumbing work at the high school. Hopefully I get permission to do that. If I do, then we'll send it out to bid. We've already been working with Gibraltar on that, drawing up the specifications. We'll be back to the March board meeting with hopefully somebody that we can recommend as the low bidder on the project, and then that will start. But because of lead times, it's actually going to be a year-long. The project will not be completed until a year from this summer. Not because they're going to be in there. It's going to be one of those, they're going to be in there for a while and they're going to disappear for a while. But the lead time on some of the equipment they're looking at is 10 to 12 months. So it's not because whoever we hired just went somewhere else or they don't find us important. It's the whole market chain and getting things here. So we will be into that process as we go about and progress through the year. But we're in good shape to start out, but the board's going to have some work ahead of it this year. That's a good thing.
Yep, I appreciate that, thank you. Assistant Superintendent report.
Just have a brief summary of the progress of the Student Learning Center. This, as you know, is our second year of the Student Learning Center, and I thought it would be nice to kind of give you an update of first semester and some of the successes that we've had with the Student Learning Center. So the staff had 14 8th grade students, which were our Old Bridge students. We had 4 9th graders, 8th, 10th graders, 15 11th graders, and 1 12th grader. So we had about 42 students that participated in the Spartan Learning Center first semester. 8 of those 42 attend all day long. So kudos to that staff over there, because they have to give up a lot of their prep time and lunch time to accommodate those kids to stay over there all day. But based on their needs, academic needs and social emotional needs, we feel it's in their best interest to participate all day. So wanted to kind of give you an idea of, in addition to their in-class credits that they earn, we have a math class, an English class, a health class, and then they have a math lab. So there's about 4 credits that they can earn during their time over there. In addition, they have recovered 18 Edgenuity credits. So what they do is they have like a study hall type period where they can work on Edgenuity. Some of them are taking government, some of them are taking econ. Just depends on what credits they need to make up wherever they've missed out in their educational career. For those freshmen, we really try to focus on making sure that they pass freshman English and Algebra 1. We have determined in looking at data over the years, those who do not pass freshman English and Algebra 1 as freshmen are very high risk of not graduating. So that's really
why SLC was developed, but it has grown bigger, and there is a need for it to continue to grow. But with funding and staffing, we have to be very careful on how we continue to expand the needs of the Spartan Learning Center. We already have one student who has earned a credit these last 2 weeks in Edgenuity. So some of them just really do a great job of working through those classes. I think it's important to kind of point out to the board and the public, the Spartan Learning Center is a little different than maybe your typical alternative schools that you see in other districts. It is for students that don't typically perform well in your typical traditional four walls brick and mortar schools. They may have the smaller class size may be to their advantage, the online type of learning may be to their advantage, or just going at a slower pace. But a lot of alternative schools are based on behavior. Ours is not. It is based on kids who are struggling in the traditional schooling model, and we're trying to think outside the box for them and allow them to make up credits and courses that maybe they've missed. We had a lot of 10th and 11th graders. We had 15 11th graders. Those were a lot of those COVID kids that really struggled when we took that semester off. They didn't get credits. They needed to go back and get credits. It's really difficult for a junior or senior to have to take freshman English and junior English. So by taking it at SLC, at the Edgenuity, it doesn't provide them, and they're not sitting in a classroom with peers that are way younger than them. So it takes some of that stigma away. We've also, Daryl and the maintenance department have done a wonderful job of allowing us to provide some of these students with some work opportunities. We hear from the businesses that our kids need soft skills. So what better way to train them in soft skills than doing it ourselves? So he's had 3 students that have been icing out for him. We had one student who withdrew from school 2 years ago that has decided to return and has come back to SLC and is doing very well. We do have a waiting list, unfortunately. Our waiting list is about 5 students. We do meet regularly with our students. They are on a contract. They do have to put in the work. They do have to show the effort because there are people waiting for those spots. And then we also want to give kudos to our community. We get lots of community support. Carrie Pfeiffer from Purdue Extension comes and helps do cooking classes, nutrition classes. Sarah Grubbs is doing some yoga classes with them. And then we are currently working with IU Public Health and Charmin Gabbert, Patrick Rittberger, and trying to provide a little bit of additional support for students that are struggling with families of addiction, just mental health issues. So just want to make sure that we recognize the SLC staff and students, and then kind of educate the public a little bit on the criteria that surrounds SLC. So,
A couple of questions. One, kids that go half day, summer morning, summer afternoon?
yes, and summer all day.
Okay, right. And then, just for the public who doesn't know, when
Sure,
you say,
absolutely.
when you say they're icing out, you want to explain what that
Yeah,
means?
icing out is where they actually go to work and they are allowed to earn 2 additional elective credits. So it's like in lieu of taking 2 electives, they go to work all day, whether it's in a construction, whether it's with maintenance department. Some of them are, at local restaurants, all throughout. But they are also required to attend a class with Beth Shank at the Career Center, in which they have to learn how to build a resume. They have to submit their timesheets. So it's teaching them about the soft skills of work. But it also gives them an opportunity. A lot of times kids, especially our upperclassmen, they will quit because they want to go to work or need to go to work. So this kind of gives us a little bit of flexibility. Also want to give a shout out to Julie Bell and Jamie Ham. They run night school, which is like a tutoring session at the high school. Started out last year 2 days a week. They're now doing it 4 days a week. We have several students who that is their saving grace. They are successful because those gals, I believe Amanda Combs also participates. And if I've left anybody out, I apologize. But I just want to give them kudos because they take time out of their evenings, 2 hours every evening, to be available for kids. And it don't have to be enrolled. Anybody can come. If you need homework help or you are doing an online course and you need help with that, those gals are at our high schools from 5 to 7, Monday through Thursday. And they wait at the front for anybody that comes in, and they go and they work individually, in a small group with these students, and we have just seen a lot of success in that. It's growing, and kids are starting to understand the purpose of it, and it's getting out there. But that's asking a lot for them to take out 2 hours of their evening every night. And they do it, and they love it. So just want to make sure they also get recognized in this.
And for another one for the public, Edgenuity is a computer.
Edgenuity is a computer-based curriculum.
Okay.
It is aligned with the Indiana state standards. It is very similar to the same course that they would take. They just don't receive the direct instruction that they would from a classroom teacher. They are given like tutorials, and then they have to take assessments, and they have to get a certain percentage to move on.
Okay.
And then that's why we've invented night schools for those kids that maybe get stuck somewhere within that program. Our staff has accessibility to that, so they can go in and look at the assignments, help the kids maneuver through those assignments, and provide them with the support they need so that they can be successul. That's great.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the world of education, we have a lot of terms that
Right.
we know, but not necessarily public. So I appreciate you pointing that out.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's
You're welcome.
really great news. And I know Kelly's here.
Yeah.
We love hearing all this. This is great. Superintendent's report.
I'm going to start with Kelly and Mallory. I'm very proud that you all are two I know, but we started our kids at age 3, and I don't know of any other preschool program like this with what we do with free preschool for our community. And how many kids do we currently have, Mallory? Put you on the spot.
Up to 55.
Okay. And I'm very proud of, Kelly was there from the start, and it's just really been a seamless transition. Mallory coming back home has done I just want to send a shout out to her team and to Mallory's leadership. It's great. And then we try to get them through with Kelly, and it's really neat. Kelly posted a video the other day with Mike Selke, if any of you know.
Yes. That was
Mike,
good.
and they were in there just enjoying some tunes, and during the kids who stay for lunch in there, and it was really neat if you haven't seen that. So I don't know if Kelly was singing too or not, but.
I was not singing. They don't
Or is it
appreciate my
Selkie
singing.
Smooth?
They don't appreciate her singing.
But I'll tell you, Mike is great with
He
the
loves
kids,
it.
isn't he? He
Yeah.
loves working with the kids and makes such a connection to them. And so it's really
We
neat.
also had Eric Adams. He's been volunteering some time during our full-day kids' lunch. We have about an hour where we do a leadership series during their lunch period, the 8th state full day. So Eric's starting to come on Fridays and connects with music with the kids. And Mike picked up the spare guitar, and they both just had a little session.
It's really a family there, and I'm not to be negative about other alternative programs, but a lot of them become a dumping ground. I hate to say that, but it's where you put those kids. And very few of them ever graduate and are successful, and this is not like that. This is a unique program, and that the staff there working with Kelly are just really doing some good things. And some kids they want to be there, and it's a neat thing. And it takes a lot of coordination, Daryl, with transportation, and Kelly runs a shuttle bus during the day to transport kids back and forth, so she wears a lot of hats. But I just want to recognize, the public doesn't realize all the things we do to support our kids, from toddlers or young children all the way through. I want to recognize Coach Brown, 300 wins. I think he was if you know Kerry, he doesn't like that attention. But he would have liked, he told me, I stopped in his office last night, and he said, I wish I could have had all my former players with me, and that's Kerry. So we're lucky, I think we're very fortunate to have someone of his caliber. He's one of the best in the state. And we also had another one of the best in the state Saturday night with Basil Malby. And I want to recognize Mark and Daryl for being a part of that 83 team. And I think they had a nice recognition, so it was a nice evening. So congratulations to you both. want to thank the foundation again. They were awesome.
Yes.
And Daryl's work with them. And then I also want to remind you, you have a slip here, we have 2 upcoming meetings. And just to make sure the public's aware too, our board attorney, Michelle Cooper, will be providing training. This is an executive session, and that will be January 26th, 4 to 7:30 p.m. So that is not a public meeting. And then we will have a public work session with Gibraltar, our architects, on February 1st at 6 p.m. And that is a public meeting, but really we're starting to get down, roll your sleeves up and really start looking at what are we going to do with this next funding opportunity as our debt continues to roll off. So that's going to be an important meeting. So I wanted to remind you of those. Thanks.
Thank you. For the good of the cause. Do you have anything they want to share tonight? Mark?
Curtis Griffin passed December 28th. Just hard for me to talk about Curtis. I care so much about him, but he got hired by Carl Hilton, I think around 75. Then became the head custodian for many years at the high school. Was the support staff person of the year in 2002, I believe. Ran for school board and won in 2010. And left in 2013 to move to Richmond to help take care of his parents. I know one thing I think that stood out that people may not know is that Curtis sponsored senior council for several years, and he was committed to making it a free prom and achieved that for 3 years, I think. So just respects to Curtis.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Mark.
I saw something remarkable at the middle school this week. Their therapy dog. And I saw it interact with students in a classroom. I will be in that classroom next week doing a presentation. And the kids in the hallway, when they see the dog, the din of the middle school hallway is not pretty, and it's just kind of is what it is. But when they saw the dog out in the hall, and Heidi Rubenall has very good control of this animal. The dog has been well trained and is a part of it. She related that there are several students who were considerable behavioral problems, and they saw the dog, and she said they wanted to know how they could interact with the dog. And I says, well, you know, it's a privilege to do this. The dog seems to know the kids that are not having a good day, because they will go and just calm them down. And a kid's going down the hall and he's going like this, and he sees the dog and he calms down and wants to go pet the dog and not upset the dog. But it was just, our kids have so many mental health issues, and if this is something under controlled circumstances, this dog has been trained, the dog is not running loose in the hallways, clearly. It is just remarkable to see these kids react to this animal. And she just sits there like, all right, I'm cool, pet me, you know. But just the calming effect it has on the kids, and they want to be in the room with that particular animal. And I think some people don't understand it, and I didn't myself. I wouldn't have believed it till I saw it for myself, that these kids were so much calmer, so much better, and the dog loves unconditionally, and that's something that a lot of our kids really need. So I know there's naysayers out there, but walk the hall. Go in a classroom when the dog is there and see the difference in the kids. It's really, really cool. Really cool. I'm glad the dog's going to be in there when I'm in there during my presentation.
That's great.
They'll probably crawl under the desk, but that's okay.
Maybe it'll calm you down, Ann.
That's impossible. I'm too old to calm down. If I calm down, I might expire. I don't know at this point in time.
Anybody have anything else?
Leslie, one positive, we put 2 brand new bus drivers on the road.
Oh, yay!
And 2 more that may be done by February that we might put on some streets.
Oh, boy, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. One last thing, if anybody is interested in going to the national conference, this is kind of your last call.
Cindy
So that,
needs to register.
yeah, Cindy needs to register you, so
Are we
that
going
takes
to
place at the
Tampa or
end.
Orlando?
Going to Tampa, and
Okay.
it's,
End of March.
End of March. So, and if you need more information, Cindy or Scott can get that to you. Okay, anything else before we seek a motion?
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Wow,
Wow.
New year,
New Year!
Threw us
For
there.
sure.
delegation.
Okay, all those in favor signify by raising your hand, opposed, same sign. Motion carries, meeting adjourned.
If we don't know what to do, we're
We
like,
need to.